Hi folks, Tony here from Guitar Made Easy. Welcome back to the channel. Now, last week we had the privilege of sitting down with the amazing Robin Ford, and now we're thrilled to bring you another conversation with another absolute legend, Larry Carlton. Now, both Robin and Larry will be joining us this June at our Guitar Dreams retreat at Cameron House in Loch Lomond in Scotland, alongside other legends like Guthrie Trapp, Robbie McIntosh, Mary Spender, and others. So this is a real bucket list opportunity to learn from some of the best guitarists in the world in one of the nicest locations in the world, I would say, the Scottish Highlands. Now, Larry's iconic work with Steely Dan, Joni Mitchell and the Crusaders, along with his unforgettable solo career, has cemented him as one of the most respected guitarists in the world. Now, in this interview, he shares stories from his career, dives into his teaching philosophy, and a little bit of what we can expect at his masterclass in Scotland. Now, if you've ever dreamed of coming to Scotland and learning from the best guitarists in the world, then this retreat might be your chance. So check out the link in the description for more details. But for now, let's dive into this conversation with a legend, Larry Carlton.
Welcome to Guitar Made Easy, and today we are joined by one of the all-time greats of guitar, Mr. Larry Carlton. How are you?
Hey, guy. Nice to see you, man.
So, what was the first guitar that you ever owned, and what were the first songs that you learned, and how did you learn them?
There was an acoustic guitar with no name on the headstock at my grandmother's house. So that's the first guitar that I was ever exposed to at 6.5 years old. And my parents told me that I was just fascinated with the guitar. So they said, when you're physically big enough to hold it, it was a big jumbo kind of guitar, you know. When you're physically big enough to hold that guitar, you can take lessons. So at 6.5 years old, I could hold it. And so they found a local teacher in Torrance, California, where we lived. And I started taking lessons.
Amazing. With such a storied career, do you ever take a moment to reflect on how your journey has influenced the music world and other guitar students?
Well, yeah, I do, because it gets brought up over the years. And I've said it before, but having a career like mine is not something I planned. It just happened that people really reacted to my guitar playing. And everything positive that has happened is because they like the way I play the guitar. I never set out to be anything except a guitar player, but that's not the way it was supposed to go. I became known for certain things, and I'm very thankful.
Your career spans decades and so many different genres. What keeps it exciting and inspiring to explore these new musical avenues for you?
Well, we're talking about a long history, obviously. I'll be 77 in March, and I started my studio career in 1969, but I started playing the guitar when I was 6. So 71 years of guitar in hand. Um, all through those years, until maybe 10 years ago, my main focus in life was family and music. And now that I'm healthy and older, I'm focused on family and less focused on music. So, semi-retired, if you will, and I'm healthy, I'm glad to say. And yeah, I've cut down on the touring a lot. Um, so I think I did 24 shows last year, and 10 of those were in Japan. So I'm really just enjoying being semi-retired and playing the guitar every once in a while. And I still love it when I'm doing it.
You worked on Court and Spark with Joni Mitchell, one of the most iconic albums in music history. What was it like being part of that band, that session?
Wow. It really was just another session, except with it was Joni and her great songs. But the way we approached it as a group of studio musicians was everybody found their own parts. Joni did not dictate anything to us. So we just got to explore and find our own way of contributing to the songs. And she loved it. And obviously it sounded great. I mean, to have, you know, John Guerin on drums, Max Bennett on bass, they worked thousands of sessions together. So they were a unit. And the wonderful Joe Sample and I, who had done so many Crusader dates together and other sessions, there was a cohesiveness to the music that happened because I think of the experiences we had all had together and then Joni's great songs.
How long did you spend roughly doing the guitar tracks for that album?
Oh, they were all done live with the rhythm section, no overdubs.
Wow.
So I don't remember exactly, but it seems to me maybe we recorded 4 or 5 days of double sessions, but I could be wrong. I really don't remember. But yeah, all of the guitar parts, all the parts were done live with the rhythm section.
You mentioned that in some ways it was just another session, and you've recorded on so many. Are there any particular sessions that stand out as being particularly memorable?
Hmm. I mean, obviously Joni's because the music was so cool. Uh, it's a great remembrance of mine, being involved in her songs. I was a Joni Mitchell fan. I used to sit and listen to Blue, that album, before I ever met Joni. So yeah, that was really cool. Let me think, besides Steely Dan, if any other sessions jump out today. Huh. Oh, one unique thing that happened in 1979 or early 1980, I had done a tour in Japan, and Korg, the musical instrument company, had given me this little box. It was like a filter for the guitar, and I brought it home, and I could get this kind of airy flute filtered sound, and it was really cool to play soul licks with it. So I called my buddy Mike Post, the composer. I said, Mike, you got to come over to the house, man, and hear this box. This thing is cool. And I had laid down a little track. And when he heard it, he said, I'm writing a new theme song right now for a TV show. We got to use that. And it was Hill Street Blues. So all the little answers you hear that sound like a synthesizer is really my guitar.
Wow, I did not know that. Wow. Okay. Robin Ford is also teaching at our Guitar Dreams retreat in Loch Lomond this summer, and we're very excited to have both of you together because I know you have a storied history. How did you two first meet, and what has your relationship been like over the years?
Well, Robin reminded me years ago that our first meeting was after Court and Spark came out. Joni asked if I would go on the road with Tom Scott and the guys, and I didn't want to go on the road. I was busy still with the Crusaders and doing sessions. So Tom Scott found Robin Ford. And so when they had their first rehearsals, they called me and said, would you come over and meet the guitar player and just show him your setup and show him kind of what you did on the sessions? And Robin had to remind me of that. I did not remember that meeting. So that's when we first met. But then I think it was a few years later that I actually got to hear him play at a jazz supper club in North Hollywood, California called Dante's. And when I heard this kid play, I was blown away, became an instant fan, and we met and we became friends. I invited him to my house and we played two guitars together, sitting around. I found Robin's playing inspiring. And I think Robin's 5 years younger. Yeah, I think 5 years younger than I am. But this guy, there was something about Robin's playing that just touched me, like it has many, many, many guitar players around the world. And I became an instant fan. So I've always felt great about giving me my tip of the hat to Robin. He's just a great, great player. And I'm glad I know him.
Great. Let's shift gears a little bit. Um, I'm interested on your take on the current climate of home studios and digital technology. People don't actually necessarily play in a room together, remote recordings. How has that changed the art of collaboration in your mind?
Well, I can't speak for the new generation of artists and musicians that are doing that. But the last project I did was with Paul Brown, smooth jazz producer. I hadn't made a smooth jazz record in over a decade. And Paul approached me about doing an album together. He's a guitar player also, as you know. And what I'm getting at is he lives in Los Angeles. He produced the tracks, played his guitar parts, and then sent that to me in Nashville. We never got together and played our guitars at the same time. I did all my parts as an overdub. So the technology allowed us to make an album that probably would not have happened due to travel and all of that. So I can see the benefits of getting things done. Um, but the way it was with Paul, he was actually the spearhead of the project, getting the tracks done, organized, and then I just put my parts on. So it was very easy.
Cool. As someone who has influenced generations really of guitarists, who are some players or artists that have inspired you throughout your career? Like even maybe your, in your heart, your favorite guitar players growing up, or it could be, guys
Yeah,
like Robin even.
yeah. Well, growing up, um, because I grew up in the 50s, I was listening to doo-wop music on the radio. And I was started playing guitar at 6 and a half, like I told you. So that would have been 1957. So all of those songs, those little 1625 songs that all sounded the same with a different message, um, influenced me, and surf music influenced me. It was popular in the 60s, early 60s. But I got interested in jazz when I was in junior high school. There was a great local radio station in Los Angeles, KBCA, and I would come home from school and turn on the jazz station. And that's when I first heard Joe Pass. And again, it just moved me. I thought, wow, listen to this kind of guitar playing. So I started pursuing more sophisticated music, even though I was still playing pop music all through my teenage years. In my bedroom as a teenager, on the walls were album covers of jazz artists, from Miles Davis to John Coltrane to guitar players to Bill Evans. I was absorbed in jazz world, but playing pop music all the time in the 60s all through high school. So main characters, definitely Joe, Wes Montgomery, of course, he became very popular. B.B. King, Albert Collins, one of my favorites. Um, and then Coltrane for sure. I never tried to play like Coltrane, but I wanted to feel the emotion when I play that I got listening to Coltrane. Very inspired by John Coltrane. Yeah.
Cool. What's your philosophy when it comes to teaching guitar, and how do you guide students to find their own voice and personal style?
Well, when you say teaching, I mean, it depends on the student and where their aptitude and how good they starting from there. And I just try to expose them to my concept that has worked for me. It's not the only concept, obviously. Um, like my little, I've taught this for years, my little idea of having a simple motif to start your solo. So you develop that motif and you don't run out of ideas because you've started with something that you're developing. And from there, you develop another motif rather than just playing. Pretty soon you're out of ideas. So that's one concept that I can share with the guys. But then they get the concept, but then getting the melodicism and having a good motif comes with just discernment as you grow as a musician. You can start with a simple phrase, but it might not be a very good phrase. And you try to develop it. It's the beginning of the concept. So that's one thing that I do share with the guys.
One of my favourite things that I've seen a few clips of you, and you will reharmonize Happy Birthday. I've seen you
Yeah.
doing that at a few. Like, how did you learn about like reharmonization? Was that something that, did you read the books on that? Did somebody show you that, or did you just experiment?
No, just listening to piano players mostly. And then I happen to love harmony. I wasn't a scale guy, guitar scales, modes. That wasn't me. That didn't tickle me. But I loved harmony. I loved songs with good harmony. So listening to a standard played by three different musicians, you hear different reharmonizations, and that opened my ears to want to develop that. And it was just by sitting down and saying, what do I think sounds good with the information I had at the time? And over the years, you just have complete command of your harmony. And you can reharmonize Happy Birthday a dozen different ways if you so choose to. It's been fun. I've shared that with audiences. It's always been fun to, whose birthday is it? What key would you like it in? I'm sure you've seen that.
Yeah.
And they'll say B major. And I say, okay. So, yeah, harmony, I have a passion for. That's why I developed it.
Yeah, I think that's one of the most fascinating things about music, especially as I get older. So it's
Yeah.
really it's amazing to see you do that. Um, I wanted to talk about your signature guitars, Sire
Oh, thank you.
guitars.
Sure.
So could you just give the viewers who might never have experienced them a little bit of a lowdown on Sire guitars?
Yeah, I've been with them almost 5 years now. So about 6 years ago, they approached me and my manager, Robert Williams, and said, we'd like to develop a line of guitars with Larry's signature. And the idea, the concept was to have quality guitars at a very affordable price. So the guitars are made in Korea. So they flew from Korea with six guitars to show me the quality that they would be attaining if I signed with them. It blew me away. The first guitars they showed me, the quality was unbelievable, and they were $600. So that's why now at this point in my career, it's a give back time. A lot of guys out there can't afford to buy a Gibson, a real Gibson at $2,000. Sire is a great option, and that's why I did it. So we have about 23 or 25 guitars now in our line, all styles, but with the same quality and a great price point. So that's why I stayed with them, and that's why I'm excited about Sire guitars.
Amazing. I've yet to try one, but I'm really looking forward
Yeah, they're
to that.
cool. They're cool.
Yeah. You said this is a time for you to give back. So what is the future? I know you said you're semi-retired. Like, what kind of projects musically and maybe in education are exciting you at this point, or are you just taking offers, or how does it work?
Yeah, there's really no plan at this time for my career. I can't imagine, unless something drastic changed in me, I can't imagine making another studio album. People have heard the best of me, in my opinion, at my highest level of playing throughout my career. Um, Radio's not the same now, especially in the United States, so not many people get exposed to sometimes a great album. So yeah, I'm just taking it easy and doing some gigs, and there's nothing really planned, honestly. There's nothing really planned.
You seem very happy, so
I
that's
am, thank you. I am very much.
and we're delighted to have you come to Loch Lomond in the summer. We're very excited, and thank
Cool.
you so much for your time today, Larry. And
Yeah, man.
I guess we shall see you in Scotland in the summer.
I really look forward to it, buddy. I'll see you there.